Hey guys, welcome back to another video about Globiance and GBEX. Today is a small introduction video to the DEX and just going through some basics. What is a DEX? What can it do? What for functionalities are there? A small introduction into liquidity and pool, but we will not go too deep because I personally not have all the knowledge about the calculations and etc. So we will just scratch the basics, how to set it up and what you can get. So let's just start with a decentralized exchange. What is it? So a DEX is a decentralized exchange, meaning you are trading from your own wallet, so you hold your own keys. So that's a huge difference to trading on a centralized exchange. So if you trade, let's say on Binance, for example, then whatever crypto you have on your Binance account, that's not yours. You don't own it. You could not access this. So you could not go, to example, if you hold, let's say, XRP on Binance, or maybe XRP currently better example, let's say Bitcoin, you cannot go to you cannot go to a Bitcoin wallet and move that on your own. You can only do it by going to Binance and withdraw, because all the Bitcoin are in one big wallet for everyone. So it's not your wallet. So that's the main crucial difference to a centralized exchange. You have your own wallet, you have your own keys, so you own your crypto in that case, and the convenience is you can trade from your own wallet. So you don't need to deposit, withdraw, whatever. You can trade from your own wallet. So that's the main key thing. And in the end, there is no middleman. That's the second big difference. So a decentralized exchange means it's peer-to-peer. So it means you trade with other people directly. So there is no Binance in between, or in that case, your Globiance in between, but you directly trade with other people on it. So that's in principle the two big differences, which is also why decentralized exchanges get more and more popular over the last 1 or 2 years. Because simply for security point of view, it's much better. For a convenient point of view, depending logically what you're aiming for, it's also much better because you trade from your own wallet, so you don't need to deposit withdraw. Logically, there's also disadvantages because centralized exchanges have certain incentives also to use them, be it staking, be it certain contests and all that stuff. So it logically depends what is your goal. But if your goal is to hold longer for a token, for example, if you want to trade easily without taking care of, oh, maybe the exchange gets hacked or whatever, then the DEX is definitely for you. If you trust your centralized exchange, if you want to have much bigger liquidity, then definitely the centralized exchange makes more sense for you. If you want to go for incentives of the centralized exchange, that's also for you then. For example, for Globiance itself here, so for GBEX holders, you have now at least 2 choices. So I find it quite smart from them to directly push also the DEX at the start, because now in principle you can choose what you want. Do you want to stay on Globiance itself, on the exchange, the centralized exchange, and take the advantages there, because you can set up your bank accounts there, you can make a business account, you get a staking first, so certain features you get first and certain features are only there? Or do you just move it to your decent wallet, for example, and just keep it there because you want to be secure, you don't want to rely on Globiance to be secure, to not have any hacks, whatever, then the DEX is your point. And you can also earn rewards via the liquidity there. If you know what you're doing, that can also work well, and you can trade from your wallet also if you want. So I feel like it's a good strategy to do both. Plus you have the first mover advantage now with the DEX. So you can always claim you were the first, which is true. Which means also a lot of tokens which now come out, let's say in the next 1 or 2 months on the Xinfin network. Sorry. Oh, I need to drink something. So all these new coins which come out now, in principle, they will most likely move also directly to the DEX and try to tell their people, okay, use the DEX for now for trading until we are on a real exchange, on the centralized exchange. So automatically, because you are the first here, you will gain more traffic on yourself, which means also GBX usage, because in the background GBX is still used. So it's a win-win in that. So I like it. Liquidity. Let's go first. How do I add liquidity? So adding liquidity means you pledge a certain amount of your tokens as a liquidity in order to be used for trading, force and back, etc. Why would you do that? You will gain 0.3%. So every trade, let me go back here. So every trade, I think it was here, yeah, here. So every trade, there is a 0.3% fee on the DEX, on the Globiance DEX, which will incentivize the liquidity providers. So if you add liquidity, every trade made on the DEX, 0.3% is given to the liquidity providers of that pair where it was traded on. So if you now add liquidity, let's say for GBEX, let's say 100 million, and for XTC, so it would be 192.5, you would get 124,000 LP tokens, so liquidity tokens. So if now a trade is made on the DEX for GBEX XTC, 0.3% of that trade amount is in principle given to you and all the others which have liquidity on that pair, depending logically how much LP you have. So as more LP you have, as more you get from that one trade. So with time, you can in principle earn money by just being in this liquidity pool and providing the DEX with your liquidity. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I cannot give you some kind of calculation examples because I'm not yet fully into that. I never used this kind of pools, liquidity pools, so I know only the XRP-L DEX personally, and there is nothing like that. So there is no liquidity pools or something like that. So that's more like Uniswap style. So all these Ethereum DEXs. But maybe in the future I will make also one video once I know properly how that goes, and maybe some users gave some feedback after a few weeks how much they earned, so we have some real examples. But all you need to know in principle for adding liquidity is you need 2 tokens. So just adding liquidity for GBEX doesn't work. You need also a second one. So for whatever pair you take. Logically, it makes sense for you to add liquidity to a pair where you think someone would trade for it. So it makes no sense if you take, let's say, PLI and SAX, where it's kind of unlikely, I would say, currently that someone makes trades between these two or any others, just an example. So that's why if you go to the pools, you see already which pools are there. So if you go to here, to example, to info, you can see the what is the liquidity currently. So here 200k, to example, you see it's rising since start, and you see also the volume traded. So the volume is in GBEX here in that case. So it's like 131 billion, which equates to 70k. So that's already quite good for the start. And you can also here get your graphs. So, but if we go to the next one, let's say we go to SAX GBEX, you will see the liquidity is only 61k, and the trading was only 1k. So that's why the difference is big. So you need to see, okay. So there's in principle two ways you can go. The one way is you go to a pool which has already quite a bit liquidity, so and trading especially. So you know there's trading happening. So because by each trade you get a tiny thing. Disadvantage logically is in the bigger pool is if you not put a large amount in, then in principle you just get a tiny part, but at least you get constantly stuff. The other strategy logically is you go to a smaller pool like that one, put here liquidity in, so logically there's less trades going on, but if trades happening, you get a much bigger part of the pie, of the 0.3%. So it's like a, yeah, whatever you think gives you more in the end. So yeah, I think that should give already a good good overview. Tokens listing. So USG and USDG stablecoins are already used as base prices. So these are pegged to the fiat currencies. So they are also used on the centralized exchange. So that's in principle like USDD, USDC, and all these others, but issued by Globiance itself. The other common ones are GBEX and XCC and VXCC, so wrapped XCC. And then you saw XAX and PLA was the other ones. But you can also, so you can see here, Globiance DEX allows trading of all assets, no matter the asset is listed in the default token list or not. So in principle, you can add also new ones if you want. So whatever XRC20 token is on the network, you could add it, you could create a liquidity pool for it, etc. So they just give you the most common ones currently, as simple as that. So you can see here also in the FAQ, you can also, it tells you also how to add custom tokens and what is required for new tokens, etc. Pricing. Globiance DEX generates the USD prices of assets by calculating its relative prices in relation to a stablecoin and using its average price. So in principle, in the background, it creates also the prices. So there is a page token minus prices, which you can use. So that's the current price, average prices on the DEX for each one. So you can see here, USDG logically is $1, USG is currently 113, SAX 49 cents, PLI 44 cents, and then here's also GBEX. I don't know what that is, some others. So that you can use if you want to get a short idea what is the current average price on the DEX. You can just go to token minus prices and you get that. There's also analytics page, so dex.globiance.com/analytics. So there you can, let me upload. So you see the liquidity for the whole as a total. So currently it's logically not too much because it's 3 days. But we have already, as you can see, roughly 638k US dollars. So over $500,000, that's already quite good. You can see also the volume. So here it seems that was still testing. by them. 8th December was the day when it was launched. So you see 71k. Then on 9th December we had already 100k. Yesterday we had 226k. And today we have already now, because it's 10:37 currently, we have already 17k. So, and you can also change it to month, year, whatever. The good thing is you can also check here for the pairs. So here's the top liquidity pairs. So you see which pairs have the most liquidity currently. So you can see, for example, the GBEX Wrapped XCC has the most liquidity with 200k, 190k with GBEX USDG, GBEX UOG 110. So these liquidity, there's also a big part of which the team added from the 300 trillions. So that's part of the liquidity added here. Otherwise it would be lower logically. But you can see also even for other pairs like that, 60k, 30k. So someone added already some stuff on certain pairs. And then in principle the tokens itself, how much liquidity is there. So you can see for GBEX itself there's 285k liquidity currently on the DEX. Wrapped XCC, which I think it includes XCC itself, is 134k, and then USDG, UOG. And then you get the volume pairs, so you can get which pairs have the most volume, so trades. So that's important to know if you want to add for a liquidity pair. And then the top volume tokens itself. So I think that page is quite neat in order to find out where you want to add liquidity or not. And what was the last page we had? Incentives, yeah. That was just with the 0 to 3%. So yeah, then wallets currently, like I said, XCC Pay, Xin Pay, Decent, or just with a private key store you can connect your wallet. Yeah, and that's in principle it. So the other thing what you can do is logically swap, so in principle trade. So that you can do by selecting, let's say, GBEX. You say, for example, I want to swap 1 million GBEX, or let's say 100 million. And then you say I want to swap it, let's say, with USDG. And then it gives you that amount. $14, for example, currently. So 1 USDG currently around 7 million GBEX. The minimum I will receive is 13.3. But the thing is, yeah, I need to be logged in. So you, there is a, here, okay. So there is something called slippage, which is quite important for you to know, because it's not a fixed price. So it's not like the swapping is not done against an order book like on a centralized exchange, but it simply is done via the liquidity. So there is nobody who's saying I have currently exactly that price on an order book somewhere, but it just tries to get as much USDG as possible from the liquidity on the DEX. So it tells me the minimum I will get is that, but it expects me to get that, so 70 cents more. Now important is, if the pair is not very liquid, so there is not much liquidity added for now, the so-called slippage can be quite big. So it could be that it shows me minimum $13, but potential is maybe $18. So could be a huge difference between what you could get and what you minimum get. So that's why you can set up slippage in percentage. So here slippage allows you to set a tolerance in percentage up to which price deviation or difference is acceptable. So currently here the default says 5% difference to what he tells me here, I accept. Everything above, the trade would not go through. So if you say 10% is also no problem for me, you can change it to 10% and then your trade maybe goes through then. But if you want to be secure, just keep the slippage on a lower point. If the trade fails, you still can logically manually for that one trade change it if you really want to. But definitely take care, because it's not a fixed order book where you just buy something from. The price changes the whole time. So let me see if I. So you see now it's not 14.07 but 67. So the prices can change logically. So just take care of that. Here are the links actually. Yeah. What you also can do, by the way, is change the team. So you don't need to use the basic one. I mean, my personal preference, to be honest, would be that one. The very dark one is not mine, but I feel also that one is okay, the basic one. So, but because a lot of people were asking at the first day, because yeah, it's pink, whatever. I don't know what the issue with is, but yeah. So we told them, yeah, click on that, and then you can easily change it. But yeah, I think that's in principle it for the introduction itself. So the swapping we have, the liquidity. If you remove your liquidity, it will also tell you how much you get logically out. So it will calculate it for you. So I cannot logically show you that right now. With the pools, that should be roughly clear. And yeah, just to be sure, if you go with the liquidity, so the first thing is if you withdraw from the Globiance centralized exchange to the DEX, to your wallet in principle, in order to add liquidity on the DEX, be aware it costs 4% logically. So you will lose 4% of what you withdraw. Most are aware, but we still have some people sometimes which withdraw and then write in Telegram, for example, oh, I lost 4%. Yeah, that's the whole point of it. The second point is if you are not very, if you not made that before with the liquidity, and you're not really sure what you will gain and what not, just be careful. Yeah, just maybe check some tutorials for Uniswap or something just to understand the whole liquidity thing better. Because what we logically don't want is that people just try it out and then lose their GBEX, because they just trade a bit here and there and then lose always 4% and lose some fees and whatever. I can only give you my opinion logically. So for adding liquidity, yes, no. I would say if you made it before, if you know how this LP tokens work, etc., and you are fine with withdrawing from the Globiance exchange itself, just go for it, no problem. As more liquidity you have on the DEX, is better, because as more trades are done in general, it's better for us holders anyways. As more GBEX move around, it's better for us as holders. For example, yesterday was a great day for us holders because we had like 38 billion just on one day burned and also distributed. So 38 billion were distributed to all the to all the holders on one single day. So that's also part because there was a lot of let me see, analytics. That was also part because there was a lot of volume yesterday on the DEX. And top volume tokens here, so 143k volume. From that 4% away. And there you go then already. So as more volume on the DEX, as better logically also for GBEX holders. So it doesn't So DEX and the centralized exchange, both are good if there's trades happening. But I would say if you, like me, if you're not made that before, rather be careful, really check a bit into, read some comments, especially from people who tried it, check some tutorials, and then decide does it make sense or not. Yeah, because it has advantages and disadvantages. Yeah, so it could be that maybe if the trading goes well on the DEX, you made some great return on the liquidity pool, but yeah, we don't know logically. So it could be also, so the disadvantage then is you're on the DEX, so you don't get certain advantages you have on the centralized exchange, like for example the staking will first come on the centralized exchange. So these kind of things is a personal decision, it's your money, so I don't want to tell you either way. So just decide for yourself. I just wanted to show in that video roughly what is the DEX, what can you do, so you can swap in principle and trade. You can add liquidity, so important is that you need 2 tokens, because I made it issue because I made a test withdrawal to the DEX, I think 100 million, and then I tried to add to liquidity just to test out for my video, and then I found out, oh shit, I need 2. So that's because I didn't know before how that works. So that's why maybe the video helps some people before they withdraw, that they know, oh, actually I need 2 things. So yes, I can withdraw my GBEX, but I maybe need to swap my GBEX first with something else in order to have both amounts, etc., etc. And now after a few days, we have already some ideas how big these pools are. We have already some volume. We have some analytics pages. So I think the launch was very good. I didn't saw any negative comments really. So the only thing were questions, mainly about these LP tokens, because a lot of people like me, they simply never used it before. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you see us by the next video. Enjoy. Bye.